First of all, let me just say this. I'm offended. I'm up in here, and Aaron Rouse and Eli Harold, and they didn't come up here, man. They walked in, the lights got dim and everything. I don't know what's going on. Their size is just intimidating. And I'm thinking about, like, just to let y'all know, like, growing up playing football in high school, I was like, I was a big guy.
4 touchdowns, poke high. I know. Go ahead. Go ahead, man. Number 44. Go ahead.
42. But when I came to Virginia, and I was like, yo, these dudes are big. It's just to think Aaron Rouse, and his world is not defined by football. He's a
senator, man,
a politician and a statesman, if you will. But at 6'4" to be a safety, I just felt like that's massive. Yeah. So I'm a little disappointed. Why didn't I get the height gene? Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going through something. I shouldn't.
Go ahead.
I know you all right. It's a safe space, man. We good.
It's going through it over there.
That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about mental health.
You might need to pull up. You need to pull up, please.
Yo, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to the Fresh Start Morning Show.
What it is?
We have with us Mr. Aaron Rouse and Mr. Eli Taylor, both
Eli Harold.
Eli Harold.
Yep.
Where did I get Taylor from? I'm
brother.
sorry. Both NFL legends and also 757 legends. We want to let y'all know, we don't typically allow any Virginia Tech or UVA talk around here.
This guy.
But we'll make an exception for you all.
It's very seldom that UVA and Virginia Tech we actually get on the same platform as well. This my little bro right here.
Burn Neck Road.
That's right. That's right.
C-Tech.
That's right.
But y'all doing excellent things in the community as usual. You know what I mean? So it's always beyond football. It's about, the community and what you guys are doing.
That's right.
For the community. And Rouse House.
You got to say it like that every time.
It's too late now. I'm just stuck with me. But it's going down on Monday, the 25th, man. It's the Mental Health and Wellness Sports Symposium.
That's right.
Tell us about your mission and the purpose of it.
Thank you for having us this morning. First of all, I want to thank my brother Eli, Harold. Listen, this is a young man who I've seen, come up from high school from my area, do it at a very, very big level, follow him throughout UVA for the Niners, his NFL career. And he's back home, make sure he's doing the hard work and helping the next generation. So we both share that passion for Hampton Roads, 757, and this next generation. So for me, my passion started back, a few years and started Rouse's House. And I wanted, to really express and have a nonprofit that established education as the foundation to success. And so Rouse's House has done, book bag giveaways, turkey drives, and we try to be that year-round nonprofit that's filling those gaps.
Not just on a special holiday or back to school.
Because what we find is there's need throughout the year. Right after Christmas, and the new year comes and everybody waiting on them income taxes yet, but kids still need the clothes, winter clothing. They still need the shoes. And when all the school supplies run out, you got to re-up for the new year. And so Rouse's House hopes to fill that gap. And not only that, what we're talking about specifically, this event coming up is mental health. And mental health is so important for numerous reasons, whether because what kids have access to via social media and all the pressures of that, but also when we talk about sports related and what that involves in handling school, education, family life, so many other different issues, and still trying to perform on that football field. And right now, I couldn't think of anyone else and my brother Eli to come up here and help me put on this mental health forum. So we want to destigmatize. I'm 6'4". I think Eli's like 6'6". The dude is strong over here. He's big over here, and it is. You can get two big, huge guys, former NFL players, talking about that mental health is not a weakness; it's a strength. And speaking about that, then we can help hopefully drop values in these diamonds on this next generation to say, hey, it's okay to talk about it. And let's provide a platform and room for kids to, student athletes to express themselves but also to talk about nurturing their minds as well as their bodies.
Dope. Like you had mentioned y'all's coming up like now it's so many like social media, it's so many things that can cause an effect of mental healthness. I don't know, I'm not in the locker room now, but back then, when y'all was coming up, you couldn't really have your phones, if you had cell phones at that time, in the locker room now. And now they posting from the locker room. And I think, you post something, somebody says something negative, that can affect your game that like right then. Mentally.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's a part of mental health. You know what I'm saying? You're not in the game. You're not into your mission or your goal to win. So this symposium is really just to challenge people to stay focused. That's one of the things I'm assuming. You know what I'm saying? Eli, man, how did you get involved with? How did y'all get together?
Like we go back. We go back. I'm gonna let Eli.
Yeah, our family's been tight for a long time, and he grew up in Friendship Village. My grandma was the second eldest person coming out of that neighborhood, and then she had 13 kids, and then they moved down the street to SeaTac. It's all the same. It's all within the same community. But our family's been knowing each other for such a long time, and I remember watching Ruzy. Right, that's his nickname. That's what I know him as, right?
Because they couldn't say Rouse, so I said Ruzy.
Right.
I remember watching him as a kid, man, and him, Percy Harvin, my cousin TJ Mitchell, Jeremy Gilchrist. Those dudes were gods to me. I had a wall. I had a Redskins wall. I had a LeBron wall. I had a high school legends wall, right?
Right.
I had all those guys on my wall, man, and it's crazy how life comes full circle now that this guy seen that I could be a help to him. Thanks for that. For sure.
Oh, I love that.
Helping me get my message across, shedding light on me. I give thanks for sure. But yeah, man, mental health is something that's very near and dear to my heart. It all started with me as a kid, having my dad 20 minutes from me, not being able to, not wanting to, fulfill his duty as a father,
right.
And then losing my mom at such a young age. I felt like I was forced to make a lot of adult decisions, and that's where it began with me, and then leaving home for the first time, going to UVA, dealt with a lot of traumas then, and even after I got drafted, it's a lot of people think that just because people got money or just because people have certain successes that life doesn't hit them too. Right. No matter what, right? Biggie said more money, more problems, right? No matter which stage of your life you're in, you're always going to have to deal with something. And the most important thing is being able to identify that so that you can get the proper help that you can that can help ascend you. So guys like DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Love, I really appreciate them because they were the first ones that really spoke out about it. And now it's a big tsunami now of guys that are willing to share their messages about mental health.
One of the things I think is critical and important, particularly where athletes are concerned, you are often a big fish in a small pond, like you're at high school, right? Absolutely. You do amazing things, and you go on to college, and the pond got a little bit bigger, but you still, and you were second round, third round,
79.
Okay, 79. And all of a sudden, you start to realize like the pond is getting significantly larger, and you play because, hey, man, look, I'm out here to play, and you want to win a championship, or you want to, and there are going to be obviously. Most players won't ascend to the level of winning a championship, or most players are going to have great careers where they do things, but they won't actually be champions or whatever. And because the pond kept getting larger and larger, there is, by the time you retire, sometimes you retire on your time, or sometimes you're forced out due to injury or you were cut. Now you start to like question, like, yeah, I never achieved that. I never did this. And now you're and no one in your circle, like you can't really have a conversation with your buddy who you can't relate. They can't relate. You're in this thing by yourself.
Right.
How's that sit with you?
Well, I think a lot of times, even before, for me, football was an outlet. You know, my father was in jail since our whole life. You know, I had to work since 10 years old. And so football was an outlet, a way for me to not get involved in the streets or gang violence or drugs or anything like that. So we got to think about, when we talk about mental health, far before we get on that field, we are already going through really tough issues in life. You know, maybe seeing your uncle, somebody get arrested, or somebody, a close family member getting killed, you know, at young ages that we're seeing now. Even throughout Hampton Roads, these young kids left and right are being killed left and right due to gun violence. And that those same kids who was your best friend, now you got to go to practice and go, or you want to go play a game. Over and beyond, you get on the field, you got to go to the classroom and try to learn something in your mind. And so not understanding that that's trauma. That's trauma that you are actually going through, that's been unidentified from a masses, but you feel it every single day.
Right.
You know, I can't imagine, you know, losing my mother at such a young age and still having the strength and the wherewithal to go on the football field, to go to a prestigious college like UVA, to make it to the NFL. There's something inherent in you, that drive, but at the same time, imagine how much more helpful it would have been to be able to process that mental health. Right. So when we talk about the pond and we're on the field, that's just competing.
Yeah.
Right.
We gonna compete all day long, but we doing this in life every single day. You know, like we out here surviving and carrying these weight and shoulders on your backs, and not understanding that it's okay to talk about how you're feeling.
Right.
It's okay to be down. You know, a day here. It's not okay to stay in that place. Right. But it's okay to feel sad one day. You know, I always say, every day the sun is not going to shine. It's going to rain some days, but in the rain there's beauty. There's life in that.
Absolutely.
And so again, when I look at Eli Harold, and I'm telling you, like, the strength that this man has within him, like, I know there's a higher purpose, and I don't want to get religious out here. I know there's a higher purpose, but to have him share his story come Monday at Rouse's House Symposium, like, that to me is powerful, because there's other kids who out there who grew up in a single parent household, right? Or didn't have a strong significant other. That's still like, how did Eli and Aaron Rouse was still able to go to college?
Right.
You know, I still have that same opportunity. But yet, you know, I'm looking on social media, and on social media, everybody's good.
Right.
Like, there's nobody.
They see results. They see the end product. They don't see the work ethic going into get to that part.
Right. And that's often, I'm sure Eli can speak to this as well. Oftentimes the NFL players, they just see us on Sundays and not knowing what that week looked like to get ready for Sunday. Talk to them about.
So I'll shed light on a part of my life where everything changed for me. I don't know if you guys know or not, but I was a part of the protest in the NFL, and from that moment, man, I found out who really was who they said it was. I found out who really was in my corner. I felt out who really was the ones that really loved me, right? And I had a lot of people change. But that was a point in my life where I felt as vulnerable as I was when I lost my mom. Like, I felt like the whole world was against me. I thought that this thing was going to be something that helped in a way that shed light on something that guided me, you know, towards, which it did, but I didn't really see it. I didn't see that guidance towards something that I really was trying to push towards, right? So I fell again. I slipped again. You know, I felt that, dang, man, I'm really trying to make an impact on the world, not only for myself. It's not about me. Being a voice for the people that aren't here, being a voice for the voiceless,
right?
Letting those people speak through me and letting me use my platform to really help my community as a whole. And man, I thought the world progressed, and being in that moment, man, I really saw what we really was going through, man. And I would have mail, you know, in your mailbox, you get mail, right? And I had mail stacked to the roof, man. Hate mail, people calling me slurs, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, fans throwing stuff at me. They banging on the buses when we going into the stadium. So a lot of that stuff played a big part into why I wanted to get a lot into this mental health thing as well, because a lot of people don't understand, man. Like Rouse was saying, that work week, people just see the ticker on ESPN. Aaron Rouse signed for so-and-so many years for X amount of dollars, right? And that's all public knowledge. So you got
her, him, them, all these people trying to attack you and asking you these things, not really realizing the human.
Mm-hmm.
They're not seeing that. They don't see the work we have to put in and day out. They don't see the stress that we go through. Your key fob may not work that next day. You know, you're injured, you're hurt. You got to go to the training room. They don't want to see you in the training room. You're nervous about that. You don't want the coach or the general manager to walk in there and they always see you in the training room getting rubbed on, right? So you're battling with those daily battles, and all that stuff becomes traumatic in a way. No, it's not comparable to losing your parent, but that's still something that us as men have to wear. All that weight sometimes can become unbearable. But if you don't talk about those things, which in the NFL locker room, listen, it's like, Rouse, you can attest to this. It's you got so many different egos. You got so many different energies, personalities.
Yes.
Guys are, man.
And that's just the wide receivers.
Hey, we talking to Rouse and Eli Harold.
I got a question for you guys. So the stress of being on the football field now, from a consumer standpoint, you look at the game and it looks fun. But like you said, you brought up a very valid point. You guys have stress throughout the entire week. What are some, and leading up to you actually getting on the field and hoping to get the win, what are some methods that you guys both have used that help push you through that stressful moment?
Sure. I think for me, it's always been my faith. You know, very, very, very religious guy and faith. In fact, you know, I always say, glory be to God. You know, as a state senator, as a local councilman, as an NFL player, glory always be to God. And so whenever times got tough and things, you know what I mean? Like, again, if you look at social media, nobody's going through anything bad, right? But that's just a facade. That's just an illusion. And for me, it was always going back to my faith and understanding, like, God is not going to give you more than what you can handle. In fact, sometimes he takes you through things to build you up and make you stronger. So that's what I always use.
Absolutely. Me, absolutely the same thing. You know, I came from a faith-based household, and I tended to always relate everything. Okay, I'm going through this, right? I've been through so much more in my life at such a young age. I can defeat this. This is nothing, right? But sometimes the weight seems a little bit too heavy. So me, what I always did, man, I would try to do things to clear my mind. I would try to hang with my friends playing video games and just try to put all that stuff to the side. You know, after I would get home and study and look in the playbook and all that stuff, I would make sure I do something to kind of decompress, man, you know, because it can be so heavy at times, man. And then it doesn't help when you changing schemes. You got new head coach this year, you got a new position coach. So having to adapt to all those things, man, it definitely can be very stressful. But like Aaron said, man, being connected to that divine source definitely helps. I tell anybody that.
And if you aren't necessarily religious, other key things is to learn when to shut it down. If you know, especially we're talking about students and student athletes that's going to be coming to the symposium, it's okay to say, hey, I got to take this week off. I need to, you know, get away from it and you know, recharge and rebalance. And that's okay. You know, that is okay. I can't. Again, I call myself a geriatric millennial, right? When I was in college, that's when, you know, really AIM, instant messaging used to be the thing.
Yeah.
I still think.
What's your screen name?
Listen.
Does it still work?
I still think the Sidekick LS is the best cell phone that ever was, you know, created. In fact, I want them to bring that Sidekick LS back, you know. And that's when, you know, you really start social media. Facebook messaging.
Full keyboard action too.
Starts really popping off. So I understand the benefits of not being in that world 24/7.
Gotta disconnect
24/7. And this to me, and I know I'm about to diverge. This is why LeBron James is the greatest of all time, the GOAT. Because when that man came
over this interview is so.
but I look at his
I know
mental
where you're
health.
going. I know where you're
His
going.
Yeah,
mental
I'm with
health
you. Yeah.
and dealing with the 24/7, 365. We're in the elite year now,
Mhm.
but all that pressure of, he said, is the ESPN world programs, people talking about you. Do you not
24-hour
this? You
news
not this?
cycle,
And you having to live up to that.
Yup.
And then you imagine like this, the kids today when we're talking about NIL deals,
Mm.
right? And the pressure now, he got an NIL deal. I need to get one. Let me go harder on this field. Let me go in and do this. And then you look at education. Well, I can do this paper later. Well, and then your school starts to struggle, or maybe you didn't get that result because you're focused too much. So that all that pressure, and then families.
Yeah.
Family, like our parents
Yeah.
sometimes
Come on now.
can put so much pressure on
Yeah.
it. You got to be the
The
next.
constant push.
Well,
Send
there's
us out.
another piece.
Get us
There's
out.
a critical piece, right? So I have a daughter, she's 14. And, I recognize, although she's playing tennis in high school, it's not her job to get a scholarship to go to college.
Right.
I brought her in this world.
Right.
But, when you're a scholarship athlete, it's hard going to college.
For sure, absolutely.
It's hard playing football or playing basketball at a, let's just be honest, college is a professional. It's just a professional level.
Absolutely.
If you play against Alabama, right, you play in the pros. Let us be clear. And it's hard just like living a regular life, having a social life.
That's right.
You put those three things and you tell a kid like, yo, your play, your dreams of maybe being a stockbroker someday or being a doctor or a lawyer are contingent upon you putting your body on the line. If you don't make X number of tackles, your educational dreams are on the line. That's a lot of pressure.
It's tons of pressure. So I expect we expect for you to see you on Monday because parents need to be in that room as well. Because I don't think even parents realize how much pressure they put on their kids themselves. And maybe you're coming from an economically challenged, like family, where you're telling your kid, when you going to school, if you get a scholarship, if you pay for it, you know what I mean? And sometimes that's the reality of it. But your kids, like, it's okay to push your kids, but they need to understand, like, my parents have my back and not necessarily going to throw me out there to make sure to put this type of pressure on me to where now if I miss a tackle or have a bad game, the world is over. Yeah.
Right.
And I can't talk to my parents now, or they may be upset with me because I didn't have a good game. Like, listen, there's so much more.
It's balance. It's a balance. And this is what you get from
word.
the Mental Health and Wellness Sports Symposium. Senator Aaron Rouse, Eli Harold, I appreciate y'all taking time out.
Wait, before we go, how can people get access?
Hold on, hold on. Before we even do that, we got something else. Because this morning, the question of the day is the Mount Rushmore of female MCs. Now, we don't let nobody get out of here without dropping some hip hop knowledge on them. So don't. And if you gonna freeze up, then if the pressure's too great, say so.
No, what's up?
So who's on your Mount Rushmore? You got
female
female
rappers.
I'll say Queen Latifah first.
Okay,
Queen.
respect.
Queen.
UNIT.
You gotta go with MC Light.
Respect.
You know what I mean? What Salt and Pepper did for the game as
Queens
well.
and Queens.
Yeah, Queens and Queens. So that's my four right there.
You got one more. You can count Salt and Pepper as one.
Salt and Pepper is one.
Keep thinking. Eli, what up?
So I'm a little bit younger. Queen Latifah. I love Queen Latifah.
Okay.
I put her up there. I gotta put Kim up there.
Okay.
Man,
Okay.
What she did for the game was different. She was with Biggie. I know Puffy going through the things he was going through. We don't need to get in on that.
Did he?
Terrible.
Who else, man? See, I'm different. I really didn't get into MC Light. I'm younger.
Okay.
No, that's why we asking. We want
okay.
these perspectives from different age groups and eras.
I'm judging you though. It don't matter.
But also, I know it's R&B too.
Okay.
Sade.
Oh my goodness, she's the greatest female vocalist in my opinion ever.
Bro,
I love that. I love that you love Sade.
Sade is it.
She
Love
gave a different vibe when Kim was doing her thing, but Sade was still on that, feminine. Let me get that.
Look, Sade dropped every Lauryn Hill score.
Right.
Like she dropped every other 10 years.
We got to include her.
Lauryn Hill.
We got to include her on that Mount
Yeah.
Rushmore.
Okay, all right,
Lauryn
all
Hill
right.
for sure.
All right, so you know I don't live in your district, but you salvaged my vote. And I was, you got me. You got me. There are some pieces that I think people will be interested in, Senator Rouse, about what you support. For instance, skill games, and also the opening up of businesses in cannabis in the cannabis realm.
Yes.
What are your positions on those?
Well, first of all, I think specifically talking about cannabis, what the bill I carried and got to the governor's desk, which I think he's certainly going to veto, is it does not legalize cannabis. Cannabis was already legalized in the state of Virginia 3 years ago. What this does is attempt to set up an adult use market, right? And when we're talking about adult use market, and we talk about generational wealth, you got to make sure that's built in equity in that market as well. So equity for communities that's been historically over policed, that, for those who may have gotten a felony or a criminal charge from selling marijuana at one point, they'd have an opportunity to partake in this. But then, from a small business perspective as well, it's anytime that you're going to have an opportunity to secure $300+ millions in terms of a $1.2 billion industry, you want to be that person that has a say-so on how that revenue is directed, right? And so you, again, carry this legislation to say our schools need a new revenue source, needs to be funded. Our teachers need to be paid a livable wage, right? And so when you're at that table and you're crafting legislation, you get to say, I want this amount of percentage of $300+ million a year to go directly towards schools. That's a funding source, right? K through 12. When we talk about skill gaming, the other side of it is from a fair and equality standpoint. You got sports gambling, right? That been allowed here, and that's on every single cell phone. Everybody's sports gambling.
Soon as they legalize
you got historical horse racing here. You have casinos here already. And now the last but certainly not least, you're going to say, well, we're not going to allow skill gaming. Like as legislatively and trying to understand, I don't understand how you can not allow skill gaming when you got every other form of gambling in here. And again, when you're talking about, that's a $300+ million, industry here. When you're at the table and your community needs resources, whether that's transportation, whether that's making sure law enforcement has the resources they need, whether your community's being proactive and making sure these kids have somewhere to go, safe environments, whether that's making sure, and back to education. When you're at that table crafting that legislation, you get to say, I want this percentage again. I want to lockbox this percentage. I don't want these revenues going towards the general fund where everybody gets this, got to fight for.
You're not getting a piece of it.
You get to say, I want this money to go towards these communities because this is what's needed. And so for me, it came down to that. I got an opportunity to carry two heavy pieces of legislation. And it's very, very hard.
I know
it's not a walk in the park.
I know
it's so hard, and particularly when you're working with members from across the aisle, whom I have a lot of respect for, and I think that's why this bill saw so much success. It's because you have to be, and this is what football players and we understand, accountability, and you have to be direct with an issue. For example, if I missed a tackle or Eli out there missed a tackle, you can't come back to the huddle or even in film study go, that wasn't me. I didn't. That wasn't me. No, you number 30, right? You 36. That's you. Yeah. You missed that tackle. So in politics, how I make sure I craft legislation is, I try to meet with anybody, either opposition or support. Where are you? Where's the middle ground? And if you tell me where you are, that helps us be able to craft a piece of legislation that can be hopefully passed. But if not, there are also times where at times where you say, we're not there. I can't agree to that. But it's a mutual respect because I'm not going to lead you down a pathway and then flip on you, right? Like I was taught, my grandfather taught me, who's from the city of Norfolk, grew up on Whitaker Lane, used to be Cumberland Street, all my Norfolk people in Young's Park. He taught me, look, your yeses are your yeses and your no's, your word is your bond. That's the only thing you have. And that's how, that's a part of who I am.
And thank you for being, and bringing that, in the political world, because if, we need that. We need that.
People need to understand there was for the cannabis bill, there was another piece of legislation that would have let medicinal companies, pharmaceutical companies go first.
4 of them.
Go
Right?
first. And when
Yep.
I say go first, they would actually go first, and then a year later, the small business or the minority businesses, so to speak, would then try to come and get in the market. Well, you know as well as I know, the market shares are already taken. And we're talking about cannabis. We're not talking about soft drinks or candy bars where people can, I think I'll have a Snicker today, or I'll get a Mr. Good bar.
Right.
We're talking about, a cannabis product where someone, if they're going to continue to get their, cannabis from this specific company, they're not switching overnight. It's, I trust this company. I'll be a loyal customer to this company. And so that is a huge, major issue for me. And I was like, no, that's a non-starter. We're not letting these companies go first. And one of the other things people need to understand is there is an illicit black market of cannabis right now. And we're seeing it play out in the streets left and right, over $100, over $200. There's also untested products on the market where people lace all these marijuana with all kind of stuff.
All that, yeah.
And you have these kids who have potentially tried it once or twice, who have the potential of being very, very have harmful effects in taking these products. And so what this market does is, what this bill does is attempts to drive away the illicit market. Now, some of my Republican colleagues said, well, this bill will never get rid of the illicit market. It's like, of course not.
But you're not doing anything to get rid of the illicit market now.
That's right. You're not even addressing the problem. But also, there's still speakeasies around today. You know what I mean? Like, alcohol is legal, but there's still speakeasies around today. So what
shout out to my bootlegger back at my bad.
Never mind. What we talking about? So again, one of the things I'm most excited is being in these rooms, being at the table. And it's so important for our community, especially when I'm talking to the black community now, that we be a part of these conversations at the table.
Because they'll talk about it and slide things through. We wouldn't even know it.
Oh, for sure. But we also understand our political power that we also have and that we hold. For such a long time, it's been, no, we don't get into politics. Why not? America is a nation of laws. Like, period. A nation of laws.
That's what it is.
And if you're not at the table helping craft those laws, then someone else is governing how you live.
If you're not at the table, you on the menu.
You're on the menu.
That's it.
Thank you for being at the table.
That's deep.
Senator Aaron Rouse, Eli Harold, I appreciate y'all. The Mental Health Wellness Symposium is going down Monday, March 25th, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Did I say that? Ziders American Dream Theater in the Beach. How can they? Do you have to? It's free, but you have to go through Eventbrite, correct?
Yes, you have to get a ticket. You can go on Rouse's House on Instagram. The link is there as well. Rouse's House is on Facebook. The link is on Facebook. Also, it's a free event. Please get your ticket. Again, this is not only just for student athletes. This is for students in general. It's for the general public.
Parents.
And also parents.
We need them.
Because parents, you may think your children aren't listening to you, but they are listening to you. So you also need to be in this room because you are a huge part of the mental health of your children, of the youth. So please, as well, it's Monday. And now, before we leave, I want to thank Eli Harold again, man. Like, I'm so proud of this young man as well, and the work he's doing in our community today, helping craft the next generation of not only athletes but leaders from the 757.
Thanks.
Thank
you,
brother.
Eli.
Yo, Eli.
Peace.
Yo, social media, because we got people tuning in all across the world on Twitch. The ladies, of course, want y'all social media. But not just for general information, social media, whatever you want to give out, at least for the symposium.
Yes.
You said it was on Facebook.
It's on Facebook. You can follow me, Aaron Rouse. That's Aaron AARON_Rouse. On Instagram, it's Aaron Rouse Beach on X, and it's Aaron Rouse on Facebook. And follow me.
Yo, I know some of our folks are watching us online. And some of them are listening, but on both these gentlemen's left hands, they're registered. So, ladies, no sneaking of the DMs. Right? These are strong black men doing strong things and leading communities.
Shout out to my wife, who's a city council member in the city of Virginia Beach, Councilwoman Rouse.
Beautiful. Shout out.
And Eli, you on social?
Yes, sir. Instagram, Eli Harold Senior _ on Twitter is Eli Harold _ I also got a training page. I train athletes in the area in Virginia. 7 Legend Train S7VENLEGENDTRAIN on Instagram as well, and Eli Harold on Facebook. Word. Absolutely, man.
Hey, I appreciate y'all time and what y'all doing in the community. I love that. I see people that look
Thank
like
you.
me. Well, y'all bigger than me,
For
but
sure.
you know what I mean.
Listen,
Melanin-
thank y'all.
melanin is
Thank
it.
y'all.
Exactly.
Listen, thank y'all for having us as
Anytime.
well. Y'all a major
thanks.
part of our community as well. And so we appreciate this platform.
Hey, anytime anytime.
Thank you. And love what
Doors
y'all
open.
doing too, because
Yeah, absolutely.
y'all in the community as well. Pulling up everywhere. I see you everywhere. So thank you for what y'all doing to make sure we got a voice too.
That's love, man. Hey, we here. Hot 91 and Solar VA. Thank y'all again. Word up.